Hi everyone. In light of the fact that we are very nearly upon Rosh Hashanah, I thought it might be nice to talk today about the only mitzvah of Rosh Hashanah, and there is only one. It's not to eat apples and honey, nor is it to come to shul, in fact, but it's to hear the blowing of the shofar. I've got mine here, and I thought I'd talk a little bit about why the shofar is so important. First of all, what is a shofar? A shofar is a horn of any animal in the sheep family, often a ram, normal everyday sheep you see wandering around Hertfordshire, sometimes more exotic creatures related to them, like this oryx horn. You don't see too many oryxes wandering around. And, as you may have seen at Sam's, the kudu, which is a type of antelope or sheep that lives in Africa and whose horn is very long and curled. Any of them will do, as long as they are cut cleanly from the animal and are kept free of any human intervention. So we don't do anything to the horns. Horns of animals in sheep family, like our fingernails and hair, are made out of keratin. So they're naturally hollow, and they have the same material feeling to them. And when you take off the horn, there's a gelatinous inside that has to be boiled out, but all you have to do is heat it up enough and it falls right out. The result is that all we have to do is take a horn, heat it up, cut off the end, and what you're left with is a natural type mouthpiece. It isn't a kosher shofar if you add anything to it. Silver plating or painting or a conventional mouthpiece has to be completely in its natural state. And as a result, you see that shofar vary hugely depending on what kind of animal they're from, how they're made, and how well they're made. The shofar can't have any cracks in it. If it does, it can't be used. And it needs to be kept pretty dry in order to work well. Now, in order to remove the shofar, you don't have to kill the animal. Because it's made out of keratin, like our fingernails and hair, you can cut it off. I'm pretty sure they don't like it, but that can be done. And some shofarot are from animals which are raised in farms in order for their horns to be cut off and then to regrow. However, most shofarot are a result of the meat industry, particularly those from rams. Because sheep and lamb are eaten so frequently, there are many times in which the shofar is actually a byproduct of the meat industry. In which case, it has to be from a kosher animal that was killed in a kosher way. Now, getting a shofar is quite tricky because you want to make sure that you find one that suits you. And playing it is even trickier because it takes a little bit of practice. Anyone who plays a brass instrument is probably already going to do alright, but even then it takes a bit of practice. On Rosh Hashanah, and on other times that we use the shofar, there's three different sounds, three different blasts that we tend to make. As it doesn't have any keys or holes, there's very little way to modulate the pitch, but we can use as rhythm. And so there are three sounds, the first being the familiar tekiah, which is one long sound. Sounds like this. The second being a broken sound, as the Hebrew word indicates, shvarim, which is made up of a wailing type noise. It's meant to sound like a human being crying, and is three notes, each shorter than the tekiah, but which add up to the same length as a tekiah. The last, and actually the first and most famous of the notes, the one which is mentioned in the Torah itself, is the teruah, which is made up of 9 short staccato notes. Again, the same length as tekiah and the 3 shvarim. Together, we use those 3 notes in order to blow the shofar. The reason that we have all 3 is because the Torah is quite ambiguous. Obviously, it doesn't include musical notation, but it does tell us 3 times that that Rosh Hashanah is Yom Truah, the day of blasting the shofar, and the truah being what we now understand to be short staccato notes. But some people thought that truah was more like a human cry, as it's the same word in Hebrew for shouting. And so some people played it as a sharim, and some people thought it was a shout more like you just shout at the top of your lungs. Some people played it as a tekiah. Because we don't know which one the Torah means, whether it's a long shout or a wailing cry or a very short ululating sound, we do all 3. So on Rosh Hashanah, and if you come on Sunday to hear us blow the shofar at the Abbey at 1 p.m., you'll hear all 3 sounds put together, as we tend to blow tekiah, shvarim truah, tekiah, and we do that several times in many iterations, often ending with a long tekiah gedolah at the end. I'll do my best to do that now. Looking forward to seeing those who could join us on Sunday for the shofar blowing at the Abbey, and on Monday and Tuesday for Rosh Hashanah services at Sam's. Shana Tova, Umtuka, and Tizku L'Shanim Rabot. May we all merit many years to come.